impossible has happened. Unbelievable. No record for human life. Off to the races. Can they catch it?
Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop
Look
that
out.
man.
Here comes the blue coat,
Oh,
Kevin.
they got him.
Here
They're
comes the
coming
blue
from the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love.
And now for our feature presentation.
Balls Deep with Devin Jovan.
Welcome back, guys, to Balls Deep. This is episode 22, and with episode 22, we're going to start off with the most recent UFC pay-per-view, which was UFC 253, which was headlined by the co-main event of Dominic Reyes and Jan Blachowicz, and the main event of Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. So we're just going to, break it down and, ultimately say who's next for these fighters. And with that, we're going to introduce a familiar face to the show. Nico, welcome back. We appreciate you, joining us once again.
Of course, man. Yeah, always. I'm always down, to talk about some UFC. So, yeah, let's go.
Alrighty. So with that, we're going to start off with the co-main event. Me and Jovan picked in our predictions that Dominic Reyes was going to win the fight. We actually went 0 for 2, but Dominic Reyes lost in the surpriser. I mean, I didn't really know much about Jan Blachowicz going in, but I did know what Dominic Reyes did when he fought John Jones, which is why I picked him, because he looked well in that fight. But Blachowicz came out and dominated that fight. His leg kicks to the body were ridiculous. They were leaving that red mark on his ribs, like they were definitely hurting him throughout the fight, and then it led to him getting knocked out. But hey, I don't know. What did you think, Nico, when you were watching it? Because you seem to know that kind of point of view, being that you are training to become mixed martial artist yourself.
That was a good fight. So it was an interesting fight because I also thought it was going to be a little different. Reyes has very good stand-up. He's a very athletic, so I thought it would go down a little different. You could tell they were still, feeling each other, kind of, but I think the difference was that Blachowicz, he went for it a little more. He definitely pushed the pace a little more. And he was powerful. I mean, every time he hit him, even if he wasn't clean, you felt the power. Even at the beginning, like with combinations, Reyes would cover up, and you still felt that power. And look, one went through, and it did the damage when he broke. I think when he broke when Blachowicz broke Reyes' nose, that definitely affected him. You see the effect, and you saw his face. He wasn't, he didn't like that at all, and that's when everything started going really good for Blachowicz. And he got the knockout. I mean, it was a great knockout. He has power. He really does have that Polish power. So it was a good fight, but I did expect a little more from Reyes. Maybe he should have thrown a little more. Maybe he should have put a little more pressure. Because like at the beginning, I get it. You want to feel each other out, but I feel like that, at second round, you got to start going for a little more, and maybe him not pressuring Blachowicz more made him a little more vulnerable. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, but hey, Blachowicz looked amazing. He deserved to have the belt now.
I mean, Reyes didn't look like he was in his comfort zone at all. Blachowicz made sure that he was uncomfortable at all times. And like you said, when he cut him up, it was like something new to him, like it never happened. So you could tell like his posture or just his approach to that fight kind of switched immediately once he seen blood. And that's kind of what was pretty much the beginning of the end for him.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I kind of thought this was gonna be Reyes' fight to lose. I kind of had said that in the last episode. I was saying that I think so long as he was the aggressor and kind of fought similarly to the way he did against like John Jones. I thought as long as he stayed aggressive and put pressure on Blahovic, he would have been able to win this fight. Like Nico said, he was he's a very athletic fighter. But I think it might have been once he started maybe to feel that power of Blahovic,
Yeah.
that's maybe what got him out of that comfort zone. And maybe that's what kind of got him off that rhythm and probably why he was more, trying to keep the distance rather than staying aggressive like he did in the fight against John Jones. Because obviously, we know John Jones he wasn't throwing as many punches. You know what I mean? John Jones was kind
He's
of
being more tactical.
keeping the distance, being tactical, doing what he needed to do to win. Whereas Blahovic obviously went in there and he was kind of pushing the pace and hitting him with some good shots, especially the body kicks. So I think once he probably started to feel that power, he just kind of got out of his comfort zone. I think, like I said, if he would have stayed aggressive, obviously what we saw he was able to do against John Jones, a lot of people thought he won the fight. I think he would have been able to beat Blahovic, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think he approached this fight differently than he did when he fought John Jones. I know you mentioned that if he approached it the same way as John Jones, you didn't really see him losing the fight. But I think he looked like a totally different fighter. And it probably was because in the John Jones fight, he was more of the aggressor because, he had something to prove against John Jones, whereas Blachowicz isn't as big of a name as John Jones. So he was, more laid back, and he didn't approach the fight nearly as aggressively, you can say. But you also said as soon as he felt the power, you can tell like he didn't know what to do. Like for me, when you're getting kicked so many times, and you're like you would assume to reverse it or try to do something to prevent that from happening, but these leg kicks weren't even to his front leg. It was to his rib. And it was just leaving a red mark, like a really red mark, and that's what was crazy because the power in his kicks, like I've never seen that before, and it was ridiculous.
It almost seemed like, even though like Nico said, it seemed like they were kind of just feeling each other out still. It didn't seem like Reyes really did anything to like adjust between that first and second round as well. So I mean that also seemed like a part of his downfall.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a close fight in the first round. I mean, I said it. I mean, it's. I mean, yes, Blachowicz was a little more, maybe a little more active, but it was still a close fight in the first round. Yeah, he got kicked in the ribs, but I mean, Reyes had a couple of good moments too. I think he had a pretty good straight. Blachowicz pretty good. So I agree. I mean, I think a lot of it maybe was that every time he would go in, like Blachowicz was throwing the hands every time, I mean, I think a lot of it was that probably, he felt the power, and that definitely slows you down, a little bit, it makes you scared of going in, maybe taking that, maybe taking a chance, so that I think that definitely affected the fight, and like I said, I mean, you can't take anything away from Blachowicz. He fought really well, and I know, I mean. Oh yeah. It was a great fight for him. So yeah, I mean, hey, let's see who he fights next. I'm excited.
I mean, after the fight, I looked over to Jovan, and he was like, "John Jones, where are you?" And the next thing you know, they said that the announcer said that, and Jovan just got super excited. He goes, "Oh!" And then John Jones' tweet popped up, and he was just like, "That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about."
Well, I don't know. People said that Reyes beat John Jones. And Blachowicz destroyed him, so I mean, maybe he's the GOAT now. He's like heavyweight. I mean, that's how it works.
For me, I'm not really impressed by the light heavyweight division. So, like, I would like for him to fight John Jones because John Jones called him out basically said that he was next, and then next thing you know, he moved up and he didn't get his chance to fight John Jones, and then he called him out in the post fight interview. And John Jones, replied back saying something along the lines of, "It's not about being comfortable; it's about challenging yourself." And obviously, Jovan mentioned to me yesterday, like he had nothing to prove anymore in that division. He pretty much wiped them clean, and he moved up for a new challenge, which I understand for him, but for a guy like Blachowicz, he needs to make a name out of himself and who to live up to or fight and set that standard. Except for fighting John Jones, which is arguably the greatest fighter or UFC fighter of all time. So it's like you needed he needed that fight almost, and it's pretty much the fight that everyone wants to see. But I think it's not gonna happen because John Jones is on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, is I so well. I mean, if we're being completely honest, of course, John Jones should get the next shot. I mean, but yeah, he's in heavyweight now. So, with that said, I don't think he's gonna come back to light heavyweight. I mean, I hope he does. And to be honest, I mean, actually, I don't hope he does because I think he will beat him. I don't think anybody could beat John Jones. I really don't. So I mean, especially not a light heavyweight. So I think if he comes back, he beats Blachowicz, and then we're back to the same thing. So I mean, I don't want him to come back, but realistically, yeah, he should fight him next if he gets the chance. But then again, you got Thiago Santos who fought great against John Jones too, and he had both legs messed up, and he still went to a decision with John Jones. And then you got Glover Teixeira, who's been he's been killing it lately, and they're gonna fight soon. So the winner of that fight definitely should get Blachowicz next.
Yeah, that's the more realistic option is the winner between Santos and Teixeira. My thing with them, like, yeah, Santos beat Blachowicz previously, so that would be the guy that I would want him to fight next. But obviously, he would have to beat Teixeira for it to happen, and he also had a good fight against John Jones. But my thing is, I'm not super impressed with that division because outside of Reyes and Blachowicz, the two next people up are those two, and they both have 7 losses, which is on the record. So it's like it's not nearly as up to par with the other divisions, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's gonna end up being Santos. Just because, like you said, he has already beat the current champ. And Teixeira, obviously, we saw him fight against Reyes, and Reyes obviously took that win. But for me, speaking on the John Jones thing, I'm actually kind of indifferent to what you said, Devin. I don't think that John Jones has anything to prove, but I also don't think, as much as it would be exciting to see him go, I feel like go back and fight Blachowicz. I'm kind of like, I feel the same way. I think I already know that John Jones is going to beat him. I don't want to see it because then we're kind of back to square one. But also, I think it's time for something new in that division. I think it'd kind of be pointless at this point just to see, we kind of just want to see what happens. I think it's kind of pointless. I think it's kind of just time for Blachowicz to kind of just, defend his title and make a name for himself at that division rather than I need to fight this guy to make that name. I think they should just give him that opportunity to defend the title against other people and make that name for himself rather than just relying on the name of John Jones and trying to beat him. Just move on. Just kind of, let the division kind of go where it's going to go. And obviously, like you say, it's not as impressive as, as it was with John Jones, but at the same time, I mean, John Jones not being there makes it a little bit more impressive because you're going to get those close fights. You're going to get a better opportunity of guys being able to challenge the champion.
Yeah, and there's no, I agree 100% with you. And actually, there's a lot of young prospects coming up right now in the light heavyweight division. And I mean, like we had Johnny Walker who like he's young and he's very he's very impressive. And like he lost a couple he lost 2 fights, but now he's back. He won again his last fight, like I think last week. And like he's a young guy. He has a lot of like future. And then we got Rakic. He's number 4 right now. So give him one more fight and he's ready. So I feel like exactly. I think at this point just let let's let the division be like it's new. We pretty much just started over right now. We had John Jones and when Cormier dominated for so long that just let's get all these new people in. Like you'll get the new talent. We're gonna get new talent. The UFC always has good talent, so we're gonna get the young guys coming up. So yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, I feel like it leaves room for a lot more fights.
Yeah, exactly.
And Anthony Johnson is also planning to come back, so that could add some some ruffles to that division. I honestly think he would be a good opponent for Dominic Reyes to rebound,
Yeah,
but also for Johnson to his first fight in back in the UFC, to just get a feel for what that division or the top of the division is like at the moment. I agree with you guys. I don't really see a point in John Jones coming back down, but because I did say to Jovan yesterday he would come back down, and if he wins, then
yeah,
he's gonna end up
exactly.
vacating again anyway. So I agree. I just feel for Blahovic just because he didn't get his chance,
Yeah,
and I think that's all he wanted was just an
yeah,
opportunity to fight. I think if he got the opportunity and lost, and then they did the vacant championship fight between him and Reyes, and he won, he wouldn't be calling him out.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I think in order for him to make a name, he's gonna have to pretty much do what John Jones did and pretty much wipe that division clean. And Anthony Johnson, maybe not first fight, but down the road, if he does, live up to what he was before, that could be a name to help him boost his, career and his legacy
Yeah.
in the light heavyweight division.
I mean, either way, I mean, it's Blahovic. He just became champion. I mean, he has yet to defend his title. I mean, we could get another champion like John Jones, and it may not be Blahovic. So I mean, there's a lot going on in that division now that it's kind of wide open now. It's really anybody's to take.
yeah, exactly.
And with that, we're gonna move on to the main event of the evening that everyone was so excited for. It was Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Me and Jovan both picked Paulo Costa. I picked him because of his size and there's his ability to close out. He's someone that's explosive. And I mean that's no knock on Adesanya. I just felt like this was a challenge, just as Jovan said, this was a challenge that he's never faced before, and he proved us both wrong. He went out there, did what he had to do. We both said if he were to win, it was going to be because of those leg kicks and keeping his distance, and that's ultimately what he did. But he not only did it in in the fashion that he beat Joel Romero, but he went out and knocked him out, similar to what he did with Robert Whitaker, which it was surprising to me just because I didn't see Costa getting knocked out. So the fact that he went out there and he took care of business and ultimately made it look easy, made it look like Costa didn't deserve to be in the octagon with him, uh, is what was super impressive, and I give him kudos. But what did you guys think? So let's start off with Jovan. What? Just give your breakdown of what happened.
Ultimately, like before leading up to this fight, I really liked Adesanya because obviously, like, we know what he can do striking. It wasn't until like kind of later in fight week where I really started to kind of start leaning more towards Costa because again, like his size, his athletic ability, the way he likes to push fights, push the pace. But you didn't really see that from him all that much because, like I said, the striking of Adesanya and Adesanya kind of reminded me and everybody else who doubted him on Saturday why he's so good. I mean, his striking is as elite as it comes. He can strike with the best of them, and Costa just really wasn't able to like close the distance. He wasn't able to like really land anything, and that's kind of why he was kind of doing a lot of the showboating, doing a lot of the things that Adesanya said. Telling him to meet him in the middle of the ring. It's kind of the same thing that Yoel Romero did. It was like when they realized they weren't able to get inside his guard, they kind of just wanted him to push the pace and kind of leave himself vulnerable, and that just wasn't something that Izzy was gonna do. I mean, he's too smart a fighter to just go in there and try to brawl with these two fucking guys that are huge.
Behemoths.
Yeah, so I mean, he's just too smart a fighter. I mean, he proved again why why he is the champion. His striking is as elite as they come, like I said. I'll probably never pick against him ever again until he gives me a reason to after yesterday. Um, but yeah, I mean, he just, like I said, he put on a clinic. It wasn't even close. He made it look easy. Costa ultimately just really couldn't get anything going. He was tearing his legs up with those kicks. It was kind of a rough night for Costa.
Yeah, bro, this was Adesanya's easiest fight in the UFC so far. And you
Yeah,
know what? Like, I look, I look, I said it before. I told you guys, I told Jovan plenty of times.
Yeah.
The striking of Adesanya is too good. There's levels to this.
Super versatile.
Oh
He
yeah,
actually, yeah.
there's levels to this, man, and you're not talking about a good kickboxer that went to the UFC. You're not talking you're talking about an elite kickboxer, the best of kick, and we're going to the UFC. This guy, bro, yesterday that was his 100th
Um,
win in general. He has 5 boxing wins. 75 kickboxing, and now his 20th win, bro. This guy, bro, 75 kickboxing wins, bro. Like, and you're talking, he's not from Thailand where they fight like 300 times. So, bro, these guy, his striking is different, man. And that's what I told everybody. If Costa wants to stand with him, which I knew he was gonna do, and I thought it was a bad idea, he's gonna lose. You're not gonna beat him at striking. There's, like I said, there's levels to this, and yes, Costa is he's great at closing distance. He's durable and everything, but Adesanya is different. Like, you're not gonna close the distance on him as easy as you do in other people. It's not gonna happen. Not with Adesanya.
In order for him to win, he was gonna need to bring him to the ground and utilize
Yes,
that
yes,
jiu-jitsu.
uh-huh,
But
yeah,
he tried to put him up against the cage, but Adesanya just made sure to get out the way
yeah.
and prevent that from happening.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, look, the reason why I picked also Adesanya was because of this. What happened with, like, so there was no way he was beating him on striking for me. So then you can, okay, he has good jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He could try to take him down. Adesanya has the best takedown defense probably right now in like the UFC. Well, I don't know, maybe he has one of the best takedown defenses in the UFC. So that's what I said. Even if he does try to take him to the ground, it's not gonna be easy.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be easy to take him to the ground or keep him on the ground, because Adesanya has proven so far that he's not easy to take down. And if you do get to take him down, because I think he's only being taken down like once, he's gonna get back up fast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I didn't see a way Costa beat Adesanya this fight. I really didn't. I mean, maybe a crazy punch, like a wild punch, and but I just didn't see him, beating him and not any other way, and look, he made it look more than easy, second round knockout, like he barely got touched, maybe like one little hit there. I think like a little switch kick kind of got him in the face a little, but that's nothing, this is how I thought the fight would go. I mean, not as easy for Adesanya, but that's how I thought the fight would go. I thought Adesanya was gonna use his distance, just use his striking, and that's exactly what he did.
And I honestly hope, because I like Costa as a fighter, I honestly hope that this helps him become a better
Yes.
fighter. Similar to, like, it's a different sport, but similar to when Canelo fought
Yes.
Floyd Mayweather. He was not ready to fight Floyd Mayweather at the time. He was still young,
Yeah.
and that was pretty much he pretty much got embarrassed by Floyd Mayweather. And since losing to Floyd Mayweather, he just became a better fighter. So I think Costa, with the matchups that he still has on the table, he still hasn't fought many people at the top of the middleweight division. Like, he still could fight Darren Till, Jack Hermanson, Derek Brunson. The list goes on. So those matchups, if he can get wins against those guys, he can easily get back in the title picture to face Adesanya again. And I think if they were to fight again, he'd be more prepared. I'm not saying he'll win, but I think he'll be more prepared for just because he could fight different style fighters to prepare him for someone of Adesanya's stature. Just because he is so versatile, like you said, that there's a reason why he's called the style bender. He's mastered every single style that you can possibly think of in mixed martial arts, and he proved that yesterday.
Oh yeah. No, his striking is just, it's beautiful to see. I mean, I love striking, so for me to see that level in the UFC of striking is just like beautiful. I love seeing, like, literally, like, that's the way he throws those leg kicks. It's amazing. That's how I want to throw my leg kicks. Like, it's just, they're so fast, and there's no tell. He just it's just like a whip. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see. And yes, I agree. Costa, I think it was too soon for him to fight Adesanya, but he deserved it. So, it made sense. But I agree. I mean, I think more experience would definitely help him, and yeah, I think he could come back better for sure.
I think he's still like a fairly raw talent. I mean,
Yes.
He's very young. So I mean, it's kind of like
He's
Devin
only
said.
like what, 12-1?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
13.
a learning experience for him. He's only going to get better from this fight. That division is, I mean, that division's loaded. So there's plenty of fighters for him to fight against and gain some more experience. And obviously we know that Adesanya kind of wants to fight Cannonier. Cannonier is going to fight Whitaker, and he said that if Cannonier beats Whitaker, he wants to. Obviously, they're going to fight. And if
But he said he has to beat him with ease. That's
I think I think ultimately it's not
those
gonna.
were his words.
It's true,
Yeah,
but I think ultimately it's not gonna matter if
yeah.
he gets a win against a former champion Whitaker who is so highly thought of in mixed martial arts in general. If he gets that win against them, he's gonna be next in line.
For sure.
I honestly think Whitaker's gonna win the match. Um,
Me too.
and I think the second matchup between him and Adesanya won't end up the way it did the first time. I think it'll be a lot better fight and more of a challenge. Just because Whitaker has something to prove, and he looked well against Darren Till, who is a really good fighter, and looked well during that fight as well. Who could be a possible opponent down the road for Adesanya as well? Because Adesanya, he was praising him for his fight style and saying that he really wants to fight him too. So uh, I think he's just interested in Cannonier's fight style, and that's why he wants to fight him more. But also because he already knocked out Whitaker, and he said he'll knock him out again. I don't think he will, but
Exactly.
I think that the storyline between him and Adesanya for part two would be a lot better than Cannonier, who's more of an up and comer at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's true. And actually, I I lean a little more towards Whitaker beating, Cannonier too. But then with that being said, Cannonier always proved me wrong. I always kind of like I mean I don't dislike the guy, but I kind of always pick against him. And then lately he's been killing it. So I mean maybe he beats Whitaker and yeah, if he would I think if he beats Whitaker, I think he has to fight, because there's no more people right now. I mean, Adesanya has pretty much beat the top guys right now there. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it has to be a new person, a new fighter, and
But
and yes, if Whitaker wins, I agree. Make him fight again. Whitaker he was a champion, and I don't think it would go the same way the second time. So yeah, I think that's the right thing to do.
what
And
about
I,
Kimaev saying, "Give me the skinny guy"? I don't know if you saw that, but he
I think
tweeted.
I
It's way
did.
too early for him, obviously, but I thought that was pretty funny. And I mean, I think that guy's the real deal. So I think eventually he'll start contending with a lot of these guys that we're naming. And
yeah.
maybe eventually we'd get to a point that we would see that fight. But I just want to throw that out there. That was pretty funny when I
But
saw
what I was gonna say was Cannonier had he did drop a weight class. He's coming from light heavyweight, and he's looked impressive since coming to middleweight. He's, I think,
Yeah, yeah.
undefeated. His last two losses happened to be against the two people that were fighting for the vacant light heavyweight title in Blachowicz and Reyes. So uh, I think he's already beat Hermanson, who's top of the middleweight division, which is why he's fighting Whitaker. And I think he would be a good opportunity or a good fight for Adesanya. I just think right now, no one's stopping Whitaker from getting his rematch with Adesanya. Like he already said against after fighting Till, he had something to prove after being knocked out, and I think he's on a mission to just get an opportunity to fight him again to prove
Yeah.
the fans and the doubters that it was almost a fluke on him getting knocked out. Not
I
saying
mean,
that I'm not saying he won't lose to Adesanya again. I'm just saying he wants to prove that it's a fluke, that
Yeah.
the fact that he got knocked out.
Yeah, I don't
And
think it goes the same
it's
way.
and really,
it's
I haven't seen a fighter as talented in that division as Whitaker aside from Adesanya. So I mean, I'm inclined to agree. Honestly, I mean, Cannonier. I mean, it's a fight, so it could go any way. But there's just really nobody that I've seen that has the technical ability and not even just that, but just the like fight that Whitaker takes and like how he approaches his fights. I mean, it's almost similar to the way Adesanya did in that fight where he's like, "I'm prepared to die." It's almost like Whitaker is that way always. He
Hmm.
prepares for his fights, and he's like that from the beginning of the fight to the end. So I mean,
Yeah. No.
But Cannonier, he has been on a tear since coming to middleweight. He's knocked out all 3 of his opponents, including Anderson Silva, all of which was in 2 rounds or less. So if Whitaker is to test out that theory against anyone in terms of getting knocked out, Cannonier is a good candidate just because he's been knocking out people left and right. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
if you could survive Cannonier, you're more than likely going to be able to survive Adesanya. I'm not saying just because he has more, I feel like more knockout power than Adesanya. Adesanya is more tactical, and he will hit you at the right time, which will ultimately lead you to get knocked out. What's up?
Shout out ID with the pizza.
Nice cameo. Nice cameo.
Oh yeah. But no, I agree, bro. I think if Cannoniers wins, he deserves the title shot. If Cannonier wins, he deserves that title shot, and and like I said, he always proves me wrong, man. So if he wins, yeah, go ahead and make a fight.
with that being said, we're gonna be back with more balls deep. We're gonna be talking about some NBA, and we're gonna be talking about the finals matchup.
But before we go, Nico, you're leaving us. So is there anything you want to promote before you leave?
Yeah, no, not much, man. Just I never say it, but I guess follow me, guys, on Instagram. Nico Bancalari. It's a hard one, so hopefully these guys put the link somewhere. But just yeah, but that's it, man. Just training. I'm back at training now, finally. Full time. So hopefully before the end of the year, maybe in the beginning of next year, hopefully I'll have my first amateur fight. Muay Thai. Like who knows? We'll see how it goes. I keep you guys updated for sure. And I just wanted to say, I only wore this T-shirt to piss you guys off because I know you guys are Yankees fans. So I wanted to talk some crap about the Rays are doing pretty good right now. And then shout out Lakers, shout out Lightning. We're gonna win the Stanley Cup here in Tampa, so you already know. So yeah, that's it, man.
All right, we'll
Alrighty.
be back with more balls deep.
All right, guys.
You're talking about balls deep.
I'm talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. My boy's talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love.